So let's talk about your book, Rescuing Republicans, Republican Rescue. I understand you're sort of, to me, you tell me whether I'm wrong, but you're sort of a guy who believes he can get those Republican women who voted against Trump in the last election, who were turned off by his rhetoric, didn't like the tweets and all that. You think you can get them, if not you, Chris Christie, as a Republican nominee, then the Republican Party in general. But you have to hold on to the Trump base. And it's been interesting to me watching you sort of give these interviews, and I think trying to do that dance where you don't totally alienate the Trump base, but you're still in reality when it comes to what happened with the 2020 election. To me, that seems like it's going to be a very tough to ride. It's a tough road to hoe. I just think like true MAGA country, are they going to elect somebody or go for somebody who's been as critical of Trump as you have?
Well, first off, all I've done in the book is what I do and have done with him for 20 years of our friendship, which is I tell him the truth as I see it. And sometimes he likes it and sometimes he doesn't. And sometimes voters will like it and sometimes they won't, but they never have to worry about whether it's honest and whether it's authentic. And the problem with what's happened to our party when we're mired in this truth denying about the 2020 election is that we lose credibility on all the other issues that we want to talk about, some of which you've already spoken about today, in crime and education, on fiscal policy, taxes and spending, and what it's going to do to inflation and to our lifestyle. And our ability to pay our bills in this country. If we're going to be believed on all that stuff, we've got to abandon this stuff, Megyn. And so I don't know if I'm really tiptoeing. I'm just trying to tell the truth about it because, as you know, there were lots of things the president did that I agreed with, and I'm going to continue to agree with those things. But that doesn't get you a blanket immunity from not telling the truth to people, and by continuing to say the election was stolen when there's been no evidence presented. That would back up that claim.
I took a look. There was a Yahoo poll in August of Republican voters. 66% believe the election was rigged or stolen. 66%. So how does it work for a Republican to look at 2/3 of the party and say, you're wrong?
What I think that 2/3 represents, Megyn, is there's only been one voice talking about this issue. There's just been Donald Trump's voice saying that it was stolen. And nobody else on our side, and certainly nobody with the credibility that I have, having been the first elected official to endorse the president, the first one to chair his transition, to play Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden in debate prep, to chair the opioid commission for him. It's not like the line forms behind me for people who supported him and helped to make him president. But on the other hand, it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that he says or does. Mm-hmm. I think that what you do is you talk to people honestly and directly about the way you feel about these issues. And I'm certainly not going to pull any punches. But those folks, I think, are, just hearing one voice right now. You also, I'm sure this week saw the Des Moines Register poll of Republican voters in Iowa. And from having been out there, they're amongst the most conservative Republicans in the country. And they asked the question, who do you feel more loyalty to, the Republican Party or Donald Trump? In Iowa, 62% of those who responded said the Republican Party, 26% said Donald Trump. So things are changing and they're going to take some time to change. And Donald Trump can either be a part of that change or he can be opposing that change. But either way, the change is going to happen.
But let me ask you about the rigged or stolen. All right. Because Dominion voting, Kraken, all that, zero truth. That's fallen apart. And people who said it are facing billion-dollar lawsuits by Smartmatic and so on. But rigged, you could make an argument on, right? The suppression of the Hunter Biden reporting, the Russiagate conspiracy, which was touted nonstop in the first 2 years of Trump's presidency, trying to blow up that Ukraine phone call into a second impeachment and so on, and the media salivating and every night telling us he's a criminal. I think my own belief is that's part of what people mean by rigged, that this media has 100% got its thumb on the scale for Democrats over Republicans and certainly over Donald Trump in a way that really mattered. Big tech suppressing certain articles and allowing others to live, it mattered, right? So I think Republicans want to see somebody who's going to take up that challenge and try to push back against those people who are tilting the scales.
Well, I talk about that in the book, as you know. We have a whole chapter on how Republicans should be dealing with the media. And we talk about how we need to do election reform and make elections better state by state. But that is not what we're talking about. I saw just yesterday Donald Trump giving an interview to Mike Lydell of the Mr. Pillow guy.
It's my pillow.
My pillow guy,
Lindell.
Right? And saying, we know the election was stolen. And they were agreeing with each other the election was stolen. It's just not true. But when we spend all this time talking about it too, it's hard to get by something when you just keep talking about it. My view on this is you say to voters, when I was running for re-election in 2013, I was walking on the boardwalk in Asbury Park, New Jersey, a boardwalk we had just rebuilt in 5 months. And, a voter came up to me and said, you're running for re-election. Why should I vote for you? I said, well, look at this rebuilt boardwalk. You never thought this would be done in 5 months, did you? And he said, yeah, that's what I got for voting for you last time. What do I get for voting for you next time? If we want to appeal to voters, we have to talk to them about what we're going to do differently than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And talking about all this other stuff is in my view, a waste of time. And lastly, the media has always been against the Republican Party. Big tech is a new element to that. But the mainstream media has been against the Republican Party my entire lifetime. And we've won more presidential elections than they have. So, let's not be crying in our beer. Let's go out, take them on head on, take them on based on the facts, fight them when you need to fight them. And I know how to do that. And other Republicans do too. So let's go and do that. Let's not complain about it.